I, too, want to thank my colleagues, Senator McCaskill and Senator Collins, for making an effort today to highlight the work that has been done on this important issue. I would be less than candid if I didn't say it has been frustrating to have one policy difference dominate the discussion of this issue over the previous few weeks without anyone even realizing the historic reforms that are contained in this bill. And so I welcome the opportunity to come with my colleagues who may disagree on one policy issue but don't disagree on the goal and are taking a moment to recognize the work that has been put into this bill by not just the women of the Armed Services Committee, but also the men of the Armed Services Committee. After hearings, and some of us have spent literally hundreds of hours poring over trial transcripts, spending time visiting with prosecutors, I think we have fashioned historic and amazing changes that are going to forever change the successful prosecution of rapists in our military and go further to protect victims. I come to this issue with a great deal of experience. I think it is not hyperbole or overstating it that I have stood in the courtroom prosecuting sexual predators more than any member of the United States Senate. Hundreds and hundreds of cases I have handled. Dozens and dozens and dozens of jury trials. No one in this chamber has intersected with victims of sexual assault more than I have. And I don't think anyone has more of an understanding of the particularly complicated problems that these cases present, especially when there is a consent defense. And keep in mind that the vast majority of these cases in the military are consent defenses. You have two defenses in a sexual assault case. One is, it wasn't me, and the other is, it was consensual activity. So it doesn't take someone much to understand the principle that in this instance, most of these cases are going to be consent defenses. Now, why do I emphasize that? I emphasize it because it's relevant. It's particularly relevant to the reforms that we embrace in the underlying bill. The time period in which a victim decides that she is going to come forward out of the shadows and hold her perpetrator accountable is invariably very close in time to the time of report. It is how she is treated at that juncture, more so than anything else, more so than whether she's been victimized in the military or whether she's been victimized on the streets of your hometown. She is coming forward with the most personally painful moment of her life. Now, keep in mind that if you're coming forward the most personally painful moment of your life, how complicated that gets if you know the defense is going to be that you wanted it, that it was consensual. And then it is even more difficult. That's why the vast majority of these crimes in our country are never reported, ever. Doesn't matter whether we're talking military or civilian. So how can we, at that critical moment, make sure that victim gets the help and support she or he needs to do the unthinkable, and that is to lay herself or himself bare to the public about what has happened? Well, the way you do that is through the reforms that my colleague, Senator Murray, stressed and that we have incorporated in this bill, and that is that every single victim gets their own lawyer. I don't think many members understand how extraordinary that is. That reform alone will make our military the most victim-friendly criminal justice system in the world. In no other criminal justice system anywhere civilian, military, United States, our allies, does a victim get that kind of support? And that's what's underlying in these reforms. We already know it works because it's been a pilot program in the Air Force. And unlike those who say reporting will never go up unless we make another policy change, reporting is spiking in our military. Up 50% just this year. And that is because the victims are getting the word. Not only do you not have to report in the chain of command, you're going to begin to get the resources, support, and help and knowledge you need to navigate the choppiest waters, emotionally and personally, that you will ever encounter. So not only have we done that in the underlying bill, we also have done other things, like stripping commanders of their ability to abuse this system by changing the outcome of a trial. Very important. Making the crime of retaliation a reality in the military. It should be actionable in a criminal court within the military if you retaliate against a victim who reports. And now, not only will the victim know that retaliation is a crime, not only will the unit know retaliation is a crime, the victim has her own lawyer who can help press those charges if that occurs. I mean, think of the practical consequences of this reform. You go back into your unit, you're retaliated in, you call your lawyer. You're not going to believe what they did to me today. That lawyer immediately helps you bring charges against those who might retaliate. It requires automatic discharge from the military for rape or assault convictions. There will be other opportunities to debate the policy difference that we have about how these cases are handled in the military. But I cannot say how grateful I am to the Dean and to Senator Collins for doing this today. It is very important that we not lose sight that this isn't about a bumper sticker, that isn't about one side versus the other. This is about doing the very best job we can on the policy so that we can protect victims, prosecute offenders, and get them the hell out of our military. That's what this is about. And with every fiber of my being, I believe we are going to accomplish that with the reforms that we're embracing. I will come back to the floor to talk more about the amendment I'll be offering on the floor to go even further with some of these reforms that we think are necessary. And I am so grateful that my colleagues have taken a moment to recognize the obvious, that what we've done is historic, that what we've done we do in agreement, and what we've done is going to make a difference.